Hey, basketball fans, welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for the hottest NBA regular season predictions. I'm Kokan, and I'm here to break down today's matchups and give you the edge you need to make the best bets. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support means the world to us. Remember, our channel has no sponsors and relies solely on the love and support of viewers like you. Even a small donation by pressing the thanks button under the video helps us keep bringing you top-notch content every day. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow basketball enthusiasts. And we love hearing from you, so drop a comment below and let us know what you want to see in our forecasts. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you crave. Let's jump right into today's NBA predictions. We've got some exciting games lined up, so stay tuned and let's get that winning streak going. Today we have predictions for 5 NBA games. The first prediction for today is for a game between the Golden State Warriors and Detroit Pistons. The Pistons and Warriors are about to square off, and this matchup feels like a tale of two teams going in completely opposite directions. Detroit is rolling right now, playing some of their best basketball in years. They've been a scrappy, relentless squad that just refuses to back down. Meanwhile, Golden State looks like they're stuck in quicksand, dealing with injuries and struggling to find any consistency on either side of the floor. Golden State's defense has been solid on paper, holding teams to 111.1 points per game and doing a respectable job defending the perimeter. But the cracks are starting to show, especially with so many key players banged up. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jonathan Kuminga are all questionable for this game, and without them, the Warriors' defense takes a serious hit. They've been leaning too hard on Curry to carry the load, and even his brilliance hasn't been enough lately. Detroit, on the other hand, is locking in on defense during this win streak. They've been holding teams to just over 101 points per game while forcing tough shots and bad looks from beyond the arc. The Pistons are doing the dirty work, getting stops, and then letting Cade Cunningham go to work on the other end. Cade's been on a tear lately, putting up 27.3 points, 6.3 boards, and 8 dimes per game this month. When he's distributing like that, Detroit's offense hums, and they've got the confidence to take on anyone. Now, let's talk about where the Warriors might still have a shot. They're one of the league's best teams from downtown, and Detroit has been shaky defending the three ball all season. If Golden State can catch fire from deep, they might be able to stay in this game. But that's a big if, especially with their current injury issues and a roster that hasn't been stepping up around Curry. Detroit's confidence is sky high right now, and for good reason. They've won 8 of their last 9 games, including some impressive road wins against playoff-caliber teams. This team isn't just sneaking by, they're winning with defense and timely scoring. The Pistons already look miles better than last season, and they're showing they've got the grit to compete for a play-in spot in the East. Golden State, though, they've been flat-out disappointing. Losing to a short-handed Miami Heat team that had just played a double overtime game is the kind of result that sums up where they are right now. The Warriors are 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games, and they just can't seem to string together enough stops or buckets to get back on track. This feels like a game where Detroit's momentum and energy will be too much for the Warriors to handle, especially if Curry or Green ends up sitting out. Even with Detroit on the second night of a back-to-back, they've been so locked in defensively that I don't see Golden State getting enough easy looks to keep up. I'm riding with the Pistons to take this one straight up, and if they keep playing like this, they're going to be a problem for a lot of teams moving forward.
Welcome to BetUS, Sportsbook and Casino, your ultimate hub for secure and thrilling sports betting and casino gaming. BetUS is one of the oldest and most reliable online sportsbooks in the U.S., serving millions of clients all over the globe each month. BetUS, trusted for over 30 years, offers huge welcome bonuses, countless betting options, and many deposit and payout methods. Depositing funds is a breeze and safe, with a minimum deposit of just $10. Payouts are fast and hassle-free, beginning at only $50. Choose from various payout options like MoneyGram, couriered check, cryptocurrency, or bank wire. Signing up is quick and easy. For signing up, you can use the link in the description and enjoy a generous 125% welcome bonus of up to $3,000. By signing up using the link in the description, you'll also support us as we earn a small commission from your registration at BetUS. Thank you for supporting us. Join now and start winning.
The second prediction for today is for a game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Orlando Magic. The Timberwolves are heading into Orlando to face the Magic, and this one has all the makings of a gritty, defensive grind. Minnesota has been one of the most unpredictable teams this season, flashing moments of brilliance, but struggling to string together consistent performances. Their offense relies heavily on Anthony Edwards, and for good reason. The guy's been putting on a show lately. Edwards has been a spark for this team, dropping 37 on the Clippers and backing it up with 32 and 9 rebounds against the Pelicans. But here's the thing, outside of Ant, the Wolves aren't getting nearly enough from the rest of the roster. They're averaging just 109.1 points a night this season, and over their last 10 games, that number has dipped even lower. It's like they're waiting for someone to step up, and it's not happening. Defensively, though, the Timberwolves are a whole different story. Rudy Gobert is doing what Rudy Gobert does, locking down the paint and cleaning up the glass. They're holding teams to the 4th lowest points per game in the league and keeping opponents from getting comfortable beyond the arc. That's been their bread and butter, and against a banged-up Magic squad, it's probably their best shot at pulling this one out. Now, let's talk about Orlando. Man, this team has been hit hard by the injury bug. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs, basically their entire top 3 in scoring, have all been sidelined. And yet, somehow, they're still grinding out games and staying competitive. That's a testament to their defense, which is ranked 2nd in the league. They're only giving up 103.2 points a game, and their ability to slow the tempo and force teams to play their style has been huge. Even without their stars, this team doesn't back down. Cole Anthony's been stepping up big time, dropping 24 points in their last game, and Goga Bitadze is making the most of his minutes, averaging close to a double-double. It's not flashy, but it's keeping them in the fight. Offensively, though, it's rough. Orlando is dead last in points per game and 3-point percentage, and with their current roster, it's hard to see that changing much. Even if Banchero comes back for this game, which, let's be honest, feels like a coin flip, it's going to take more than one guy to fix their offensive struggles. But their defense? That's another story. They've been locking teams down, and at home, where they're 13-5, they've been adamant to beat. This matchup feels like it's going to come down to who can dictate the pace. The Magic want to slow things down, drag Minnesota into a half-court battle, and rely on their defense to keep them in it. The Wolves, on the other hand, need to find a way to get more out of their offense. They can't just lean on Ant to carry them every night. If the rest of the squad doesn't step up, they're going to struggle to put this one away, even against a depleted Orlando team. For me, this game screams low scoring. Both teams are strong defensively and struggle to light up the scoreboard. The total set at 207.5 feels about right, and I'd lean under here. As for the winner, if Banchero suits up, I'd take Orlando to keep it close and cover a 5-point spread. Without him, it's harder to back the Magic, but their grit and home court edge make them a tough out either way. This one's going to be a slugfest, and honestly, it could go either way, but the total points under 207.5 feel like the safest bet. Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing might seem like a small action, but it actually makes a big impact for us. Plus, it's completely free for you. Have you clicked that subscribe button? Awesome, thank you so much for your support. Now let's dive back into the video. The third prediction for today is for a game between the Houston Rockets and Memphis Grizzlies. This matchup between the Memphis Grizzlies and Houston Rockets is shaping up to be a real chess game on the hardwood. You've got the Rockets rolling in with one of the stingiest defenses in the league, giving up just 106.8 points a night. That's 3rd best in the NBA, and they're forcing opponents into tough shots. Just ask the Grizzlies, who felt the full brunt of it earlier this season. In that game, Houston held Memphis to a meager 41.8% shooting, locked them down at the charity stripe, 61.1%, and cruised to a 20-point win. If the Rockets can bring that same defensive energy, they'll be in prime position to pull off another W. Now, let's talk Memphis. These guys are the league's offensive juggernaut, plain and simple. They're averaging 123.1 points per game, moving the ball like it's on a string with over 30 assists a night, and knocking down 14+ triples every game. When they're clicking, it feels like they're running layup drills out there. But there's a big if hanging over this game, Ja Morant and Desmond Bane. Both are questionable, and let's be real, without them, this Grizzlies team isn't firing on all cylinders. Sure, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Santi Aldama can hold it down, but missing 2 key cogs in the machine could make life tough against a team like Houston. The Rockets, on the other hand, are proving they're no pushover on the road. They're 11-5 away from home this season, and it's not like they've been beating up on scrubs. Wins against Philly, Minnesota, and Dallas show they can handle tough competition in hostile environments. And while their offense doesn't blow anyone away, they're averaging just 112.9 points per game, with some of the worst shooting percentages in the league. It's that lockdown defense that keeps them in games. Slowing down Memphis' tempo, crashing the boards, and turning defense into offense will be key for Houston. Memphis is a beast at home, no doubt about it. A 15-4 record on their own court speaks for itself. But injuries are a massive wildcard here. If Morant and Bain suit up, the Grizzlies could easily flip the script and dictate the pace. Without them, though, it's hard to see how Memphis keeps up, especially with the Rockets flying high after some solid road wins. Right now, I'm leaning toward Houston to grind out another road victory. Their defense is built for moments like this, and Memphis injury concerns give them the edge. That said, if the Grizzlies suddenly get healthy and their stars are good to go, this prediction could flip fast. For now, I've got my money on the Rockets, but this one's worth monitoring up until tip-off. Keep an eye on that injury report. It could be the difference between a slugfest and a blowout. The fourth prediction for today is for a game between the Atlanta Hawks and Phoenix Suns. This Suns-Hawks matchup feels like a collision of two teams that just can't seem to find a rhythm this season. On one side, you've got Atlanta fresh off a nail-biter in Utah, pulling out a 124-121 win thanks to Trae Young's ridiculous half-court buzzer beater. That's the kind of highlight that gives a team life, but let's not pretend it was all roses. The Hawks have now gone 4 straight games without covering the spread, and consistency remains their Achilles heel. They're hovering just above 500 at 19-18, which screams decent, but for a team that once sniffed the Eastern Conference Finals, it's not exactly inspiring. Trae Young continues to be the engine, dropping 24 in that win, while Clint Capella chipped in 18. The problem? Atlanta's defense still leaks like a sieve, and their identity remains murky. They're neither a lockdown defensive squad nor an offensive juggernaut, and that lack of definition could bite them again in this one. DeJounte Murray, once brought in to shore up the backcourt, hasn't been the answer, and you can feel the weight of unmet expectations hanging over this group. On the flip side, you've got Phoenix, and man, what a frustrating team to watch. Their 115-104 loss to Charlotte was another reminder that talent doesn't always translate to wins. Devin Booker was cooking, dropping 39 and 10 dimes, and Kevin Durant added 26. But where's the support? Outside of those two, nobody even sniffed double digits. Bradley Beal came off the bench with just 10 points, and the rest of the roster might as well have been invisible. It's been the same story all season, plenty of firepower at the top, but no depth to keep the engine running. Defensively, the Suns are a mess. They're one of the league's worst teams in defensive rating, and opponents rarely feel pressured into mistakes against them. Offensively, they've got the talent to light it up, but it's like they're trying to play ISO ball with 3 stars who all need the rock. It's not exactly a recipe for success, and their 5-13 against the spread record at home tells you all you need to know. Bettors have been burned time and again by Phoenix's inability to show up when expected. Atlanta, for all their flaws, at least comes into this one with some confidence after that Jazz win. They've been streaky all year, but when they get rolling, they're dangerous. They'll need to lean on their tempo and ball movement to keep the Suns on their heels. If Trae Young can orchestrate and Capella can hold it down in the paint, they've got a shot to make this interesting. Phoenix, meanwhile, just hasn't given us a reason to believe they can cover a 7-point spread. Sure, they're at home, and maybe they'll find a way to grind out a win, but laying that many points feels reckless. The Suns have been brutal as home favorites, and until they prove otherwise, I'm not touching them in that role. If you're looking for action, I'd say the Hawks covering the spread feels like the safer play. And if you want to spice it up, Atlanta scoring over 113.5 points seems like a lock with how lax the Suns are on defense. This game has all the makings of a closer battle than the oddsmakers are projecting. Phoenix might sneak away with a win, but don't be surprised if Trae and the Hawks make them sweat every step of the way. The fifth prediction for today is for a game between the Miami Heat and Utah Jazz. The Miami Heat are rolling into Salt Lake City with a chip on their shoulders, and you can bet they've circled this game on their calendar. After getting absolutely embarrassed by the Jazz a few nights ago, losing by a jaw-dropping 36 points, Miami's coming in with revenge on their mind. That loss stung, no doubt, but snapping their 3-game losing streak with a big-time win over the Warriors should have this team feeling a little more like themselves. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement, a 16-point beatdown on the road. If nothing else, it reminded everyone that when Miami locks in, they can hang with anyone. Of course, the Heat haven't exactly had the smoothest ride this season. Between the injuries and all the noise around Jimmy Butler's situation, it's been a grind. Butler being out has left a big hole in this lineup, but give credit where it's due. Guys like Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, and Nikola Jovic have been stepping up. Jovic's 20-point performance against Golden State was huge, and Bam's been his usual steady self on both ends of the floor. They're not going to roll over, especially not after getting clowned by the same Utah squad. Now, the Jazz have been, let's just say, inconsistent. Their 9-26 record speaks for itself, but don't let that fool you. They've been sneaky good against the spread lately, covering in 8 of their last 10 games. They even pulled off a buzzer-beater loss to the Hawks, which feels on brand for this team. Injuries are hitting them hard, though. Jordan Clarkson, Keone George, John Collins, and Bryce Sensabaugh are all out, which takes away a lot of what worked for them in that blowout win over Miami. Sensabaugh's absence is especially big. He dropped 34 points in that game, and replicating that kind of production won't be easy with this depleted roster. Miami's got their work cut out for them, though. This game's at altitude, Utah's not the easiest place to play, and the Heat are in the middle of a 6-game road trip. That's a grind. But I've got to think Miami's feeling good after that Warriors win. They're coming off a game where they finally looked like a team with some swagger. Bam and Herro have been consistent anchors, and with Kevin Love and Josh Richardson still out, they'll need to keep carrying the load. The Heat's defense, their bread and butter, is going to be key here, especially against a young Jazz squad that's been shooting well from deep. Utah's got some solid young pieces in Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton, but let's be real, they're not scaring anyone defensively. They've been one of the worst teams in the league at getting stops, and that's where Miami has to pounce. If the Heat can bring the same defensive intensity they showed against Golden State and take advantage of Utah's weak defense, they should have no problem flipping the script from last week's disaster. I'm not going to lie, betting on Miami right now feels risky with all the chaos around them, but this is one of those games where they've got a point to prove. The Jazz had their moment, but I don't see lightning striking twice. Miami's got more talent, more experience, and way more to play for right now. I'm putting my money on the Heat to not just win, but also cover that 5-point spread. This feels like a game where Miami shows up, makes a statement, and starts building some momentum on this tough road stretch.